Back in 2003, we were returning from Four Corners National Monument. Driving across the high desert, we noticed an object moving parallel with the highway, heading towards us. We pulled over to get a better look. As it approached, it became very obvious to me that it was some type of bear, a very large bear. We were maybe 40 to 50 yards away from it as it passed in front of us. The sight we beheld was very confusing indeed. This bear had a long neck, short ears, and a short face. The legs of the animal were much longer than we have witnessed in bears, and also on top of that, it had a long, bushy tail. Arctodus simus first appeared in North America some 800,000 years ago, ranging from Alaska to Mississippi, and is believed to have gone extinct 11,000 years ago. Its fossils were first found in Potter Creek Cave, Shasta County, California. It might have been the largest carnivorous land mammal that ever lived in North America. In a recent study, the mass of 6 specimens were estimated to weigh between 1,000 to 2,100 pounds each. This would be our first guess as to what we witnessed. In geological time, the extinction of the creature some 11,000 years ago is very recent. Another potential culprit would be the so-said extinct Sarcastodon. Approximately 35 million years ago, this large carnivorous animal lived in what is today Mongolia. Sarcastodon is assumed to have had a bear-like appearance, though only skulls and jawbones are known. There are some of those who believe that this animal at one time crossed the land bridge into Alaska and migrated south. What is it?
The wind's coming from the southwest, and this creature or whatever it is circled around upwind, and now it's tracking us to our left as we're going up to the peak.
We're at 9,300 feet here. That thing's got one hell of a set of lungs.
And he's walking beside us downwind.
Oh, we'll get to the top so we can look down.
Yeah, we can do that.
This gentleman's name is Ben. He's been herding sheep and cattle up on the mountains of the reservation his entire life. I had the opportunity to interview he and his wife. One of the strangest things he mentioned that he talked about is he saw a bear as big as a horse through his binoculars running across a valley. These cave drawings are a reminder that in our not-so-distant past, the local native population were having contact with some type of large bear. 2 of these drawings are found in caves near Moab, Utah. More on petroglyphs with Ron Regehr. A lot of what is still being seen out here, off and on, by different folks, and they're considered crazy, but the rock drawings, the petroglyphs.
It's rock writing.
It is rock writing. It's the newspaper of the time.
It's a language. It heralds events. You'll find them very frequently along waterways. If you're entering a canyon, always look for glyphs of canyons. If you're in desert looking for water, you'll frequently find glyphs that will indicate where you can find water. And they're usually self-explanatory. 2 dots, you look, and they'll point in line towards where maybe an incised rock is. It's in a shelter where it'll catch rainwater, or a spring. And so they're not just graffiti or scribbling.
They're telling a story.
They're telling a big story. And a lot of very special events. I'm relating some of them with legends, the legends of the people that wrote them. It's as if they're writing down to make sure it stays for all posterity. And when you're looking at glyphs, there's 2 kinds: petroglyphs, which is the incised rock where the outer surface is chipped away, exposing a lighter surface below, or pictographs, where it's a minimal three-step process. They sand the surface. I've got a sanding block that I picked up at one of the remote sites. They'd sand the surface to get it smooth, just as we sand wood before we poly paint. And then they would apply different colored pigments made from Plant dyes, animal dyes, fats, sometimes blood, urine, feces, whatever they needed to bind those chemicals together. And some of them are maybe 10,000 years old. And when you come to one of these panels, always look around, because frequently the panels are looking at something that's beautiful as well. They were very creative, artistic people.
Saw a black-eyed person, adult or kid?
It was a young person, had to have been, she was probably anywhere between 18 and let's say 21. And this was probably 2002, 2003, and that's because the people who I was with at the time. And it was early in the morning, having breakfast at an outside cafe in Manhattan. And there was a young lady sitting catty corner to our table, and she was speaking in a language on her cell phone that I couldn't identify. And of course, you know New York, you've been there. It is a multicultural city. You hear everybody.
Absolutely.
This was the strangest language. I've never heard it before. No language has ever struck me since. And I looked at this young lady, and her eyes were as black as coal, shiny coal. There was no whites of her eye. It was just black. And she's just carrying on and speaking to whoever she was on the phone, and completely aloof to everything else that was going on around her. And it just struck me. I was absolutely awestruck by this. Because I'd never seen anybody with black eyes before. And of course, I pointed that out to everybody at the table, and everybody was taking turns looking over there, and they had no explanation for it. But that's like, they had no explanation for it.
Right.
So, but that has always stuck with me. And I've only just heard recently about black-eyed children or black-eyed people as being some kind of a phenomenon.
David, tell me about that Skinwalker encounter you had. You were driving a truck?
Driving a truck. This was back in the 90s on what used to be old 666, the highway to hell, the Devil's Highway. And this is an area that's pretty notorious for all kinds of strange sightings, haunted spots, and reported cases of skinwalkers and other weird creatures. One of the strangest things I've ever seen was driving along late at night. I noticed something dart out into the road coming towards the truck. And as I continue to drive and I look down outside of my window, I see it's a wolf. But it's pacing the truck. Now at this point I'm going probably 45 to 50 miles an hour, and it keeps pace with the truck. So I sped up, hit 60 miles an hour. It continued to keep pace. It suddenly went bipedal, running on two legs, still keeping pace with the truck. I did this for probably a couple of miles. We hit a bend in the road. I had to slow down because of the curve. Just as we did, this thing darted off to the left, up into the rocks. just a couple of jumps off the road and it was gone. That was the end of the encounter, but it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen.
Amazing.